Moving along pretty good on that. So,
Okay, we're live.
Okay.
I'd go better.
Council, thanks very much. It's nice to have everyone here for the June 18th meeting. Staff, thank you very much for attending, and those in the gallery, we're pleased to have you. For the public's convenience, the meetings can be viewed on our YouTube channel or in person at 153 McKellar Street. Council, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Give me a minute. None have been filed. We can move on. The agenda has been circulated. Any errors or additions, failing which the chair will entertain a motion to accept the agenda as circulated. Thanks. Councilor McCollum, Councilor Myers, all in favor? Carried. Delegations and presentations, it's indicated that there are none. The consent agenda is number 5 on your agenda. We will go through these. I'll briefly read them. And council, if you'd like to discuss it or take action on it, if it's simplified, we'll do it immediately. If it's more complex, we'll move to new business. Draft minutes of the regular meeting of council, June 4th. Minutes of the Economic Development Committee, January 9th. Middlesex County meeting highlights, May 27th. Tyler Curry, Assistant Deputy Minister, Ministry of Sport, unsuccessful Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund application. And Jennifer Keys, Director of Development and Hazard Policy Branch, Ministry of Natural Resources, reintroduction of the Geologic Carbon Storage Act. Council, just direct your attention to Middlesex County highlights. Just in regard to Strathmere Lodge, that's quite a budget. I just want to, remind those listening that the budget for Strathmere Lodge is $21.6 million a year. That's a big budget for that. 59% of the funding comes from the province of Ontario, and the balance of the funding, the 61% of the funding, has to come from Middlesex County, resident fees, reserves, and other fundraising things of that. Many don't realize that we are mandated to have a long-term care facility, and so it's an important part of county business. But I always find it interesting that the budget in itself is $21.6 million. Council, we have a recommendation that the items 5.1 through to 5.5 as set out in the consent agenda for council be received for information, and that council approve the minutes of the June 4th meeting. Is there a mover and a seconder? Councilor McGill? Yeah. Councilor Emery? All in favor? Carried. Council, as this is a planning meeting, we have a committee of adjustment. Can I have a motion to move into the committee of adjustment at 6:02 p.m.? Is there a mover? Yep. Councilor Myers, Councilor Bink, all in favor? Carried. The committee of adjustment meeting for Wednesday, June 18th, and we'll call it to order at 6:02. Disclosure of pecuniary interest, is there any? Seeing none, we'll move on. Minutes have been circulated. The recommendation is that the May 21st Committee of Adjustment minutes be received and approved by the committee. Mover and seconder, please. McCollum? Yeah. Seconder, Hagan? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, council. Committee of Adjustment. Minor variance application A2, 2025, submitted by Travis Keating, 135 Mill Street. Amanda, Aaron, who's taking the reins here? Aaron, okay. Go ahead. Can you apprise council of the application, please?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Chair. So this application before committee this evening pertains to a residential property located at this northeast corner of Mill Street and Walker Street here in Glencoe. Share my screen. Application map. Yeah, sorry. I'll zoom in a little bit, maybe there's more context here. So the lot is approximately 1,000 square meters in size. It is currently developed with a single-story, single-detached dwelling with a floor area of approximately 90 square meters and a height of 4.6 meters. The property is serviced by municipal water and sanitary, and there's an existing driveway off of Mill Street. The applicant is proposing to construct a detached garage in the rear yard, accessed via a new driveway on Walker Street. There are 4 variances that are required to facilitate this development. The first one being that the structure itself would have a floor area of 109.2 square meters. This would exceed our zoning bylaw requirement of a maximum of 100 square meters. It would also have a height of 5.8 meters, which exceeds the 4.5 meter maximum for accessory structures. The structure is also being proposed to be set back 3.1 meters from the exterior side lot line, being Walker Street, whereas 7.5 meters is required. And they are requesting to occupy a total of 11% of lot coverage, whereas accessory structures are limited to 10% maximum. So the garage is intended for personal and vehicular storage. The property does not contain a garage at this time. The property is also a little unique in that it contains an agreement drain that runs along the southernmost property line, the rear lot line. So there is a setback associated with that as well that the applicant is meeting. So my analysis was based on the 4 tests of minor variance that allow committees to pass minor variance applications. I'm satisfied that the 4 tests have been met. My evaluation is primarily based on the fact that the garage would be visually subordinate to the house, located in the rear yard, and maintains suitable space for property maintenance and drainage, as well as proper setback from the agreement drain in the rear yard. And existing fencing will also help to buffer the view from Walker Street. The application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. I did receive a comment from the Southwest Middlesex Manager of Public Works, who identified that an entrance permit would be required for the driveway to the new structure off of Walker Street, and that the owner should be aware that municipal design standards limit driveways to 5 meters of width. Just based on the orientation of the structure, if it's a 2-car garage, they likely won't be able to have the full width of those 2 doors in access off of the right-of-way. But as soon as they come onto their own property, they can widen the driveway as required. The drainage superintendent also advised that, again, that there's an agreement drain along the backyard southernmost property line. The proposed garage is about 1 meter too close to the drain. However, that amount shouldn't be an issue provided it's not damaged during construction. If it is, then it'll be the landowner's requirement to fix the drain. He has also stipulated that, or sort of the landowner has stipulated that there's wiggle room there. Although when he submitted doesn't meet the setback quite to what it should be, he has wiggle room to move it to make sure that it does. I have not received any public comments in regards to this application, so my recommendation this evening is approval subject to 1 condition, and it's just that the applicant obtains an entrance permit from the municipality before installing the driveway application.
Good, thank you very much, Sharon. Is the applicant present? Do not see him? Okay, we'll pass that. If we made an error in that, please advise us. Committee members' remarks. Committee, is there any questions you would ask the planner, like to ask the planner, the chair? Seeing none, we'll move on. Staff, have there been any oral or written submissions? I believe in your presentation you said no. Applicant's final remarks, we'll just call for his presence again, just give it a moment. Dealt with this virtually. Committee's decision, the recommendation is before you that the application be granted and that the proper entrance permits for the new work is obtained. Is there a movement and a seconder for the recommendation? Okay. Councillor Haggett, Deputy Mayor Schuldeis. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Councillor Council, can we have a recommendation to move on to committee of adjustment, please? And move on to seconder, please. Councillor Bank, Councillor McCollum, all in favor? Motion is carried. Council, we are at number 7 on the agenda. Public meeting, quarter revision on the Hagel drain and the McCann Trillium drain. We will have to get some, identify, how many do we need on that, Kendra?
There's 3 total or 5 total?
Okay, so let's go, and including me in that?
In the quarter.
Okay, so how about we go, Councillor Link, Deputy Mayor, and we always pick Councillor McGill. I think we'll change it around a bit. Councillor Hagan. We'll put you on that. Okay? Yep, and one more, Councillor McGill. Okay? You're on. All right, we have that. We will go through the process.
And then motion to go into the quarter.
Okay. All right, thank you. Seconder for that, please. Councillor Emery, all in favor? Carried. All right, so we will, is there, Andrew, walk us through this, Andrew, and apprise council of the application.
So just, we'll deal with them separately, just so that we have separate motions here. So with regards to the Hagel drain, we have not received any written or oral appeals. And we have gone past the date in which to receive a written appeal. We have not had any questions regarding this assessment either. So I see no issue here.
Okay, we do have a process that we must take. The questions from any of the appellants, there is none. Those on the assessment that have made appeals have the opportunity to withdraw them. There are none. It's just, and deliberations, there will be none. Council, what is your wish on this? The cost of funds as allocated in the quarter revision be accepted as the engineer has stated. Is there a mover and a second? Councillor Link, thank you. The seconder, Councillor Gill, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Andrew. You take the next one there.
Staff has not received any questions or concerns or appeals for the McCann Trillium drain assessment schedule. I believe that given that there are no issues and that the assessment schedule should stand as is.
Okay. There are no objections from the appellants. No questions from the appellants. They have had an opportunity to withdraw any appeals. There are none. Deliberations Council, the recommendation is before you. What's your wish? Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
To Andrew, in this case, it looks like the applicant wants to go with a 2-inch drainage coefficient. So it looks like the applicant is paying all the increased costs for that?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor and Chairman, that is correct. That is standard practice. there is the option under the Drainage Act to opt for the 2-inch coefficient. Usually what will happen there is that the extra does go to the person who was asked for that, the property owner who's asked for it. However, the OMAFRA will only grant up to 1.5 inches. So then we apply for grant to the maximum, but everything else above that is not grantable.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Council, what's your wish? The disbursements of costs be accepted as allocated? Is there a mover and a seconder? Councillor Bank? Councillor Haggett? All in favor? Carried. Andrew, thank you very much. We are back into staff reports. Andrew, you don't need a motion to, you need a motion to?
Yeah, I need a motion to get out of good order.
I'm so moved, yeah, I wasn't on the agenda, I meant to. I'll move that we retire from board of revision. Is there a secretary? Councillor Haggett, all in favor? Carried. Okay, staff reports, Chief Administrative Officer, none tonight. Clerk, none.
There's one more public meeting, the draft plan subdivision,
Okay, yeah,
7.2.
okay, let's do that. Yeah, that's an important one. Yes, we have a planned subdivision here on this public meeting. Is there someone to speak to the planned subdivision present with us today? Okay, Alana, then you go ahead and inform council of what's cooking here.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. So the purpose of the public meeting today is to facilitate feedback from the community. And following the public meeting, staff will consider all public and agency comments and provide an evaluation report, including a recommendation for council's consideration at a future meeting. So this proposal was presented at a community open house earlier in April. And the purpose and effect of the proposed plan of subdivision is to facilitate the development of the subject lands for the following purposes. So 24 lots to support single detached dwellings, 3 lots to support 6 semi-detached dwellings, 2 blocks to support 8 townhomes, 1 block for stormwater management, 4 blocks to be conveyed to the municipality for road widening purposes. Access is proposed from Ontario Street, Mill Pond Street, Longwoods Road, and Grant Street. And Dornoch Street is proposed to be extended to Mill Pond Road, which is also proposed to access the subject lands. And the development is to be serviced by municipal piped water and sanitary. And the purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment is to change the zoning for the following lots and blocks. So lots 1 to 15 and 17 to 24 are proposed to be rezoned from residential first density holding zone 1 to residential first density zone 2 in order to permit single detached dwellings. Lot 16 is also proposed to be rezoned the same. Blocks 25 to 27 are proposed to be rezoned from residential first density to a site-specific residential second density zone, and that's to permit semi-detached dwellings and a reduced minimum rear yard depth of 6.5 meters and an increased maximum lot coverage of 47% of the lot area, whereas the parent R2 zone requires a minimum rear yard depth of 7.5 meters and a maximum lot coverage of 40%. And then lastly, blocks 28 to 29 are proposed to be rezoned from the residential first density holding zone 1 to the residential third density zone to permit townhouse dwellings. So as part of the application submission package, a planning justification report, geotechnical investigations, civil drawings, and a functional servicing report were submitted. And the geotechnical investigations, civil drawings, and the functional servicing report have been to assist with peer review of the submission materials. And staff would like to note outstanding matters related to the submission materials are to be addressed prior to an evaluation report being brought forward for council's consideration. So as part of the circulation of the subject applications, comments were received from the Public Works Manager, and these comments are included within the report. Staff would also like to note, in addition to Morrow's comments, road widening dedications for Grant Street would also be required. Comments were also provided by the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority. These comments are included within the report, as well as comments from the Drainage Superintendent and the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority. So in terms of public comments were received from Mr. Briere, and he had questions and concerns related to stormwater management, specifically, where stormwater would be going, sanitary infrastructure, and if that would cause any issues to the existing line for the 3 homes that are abutting the subject lands. There are trees on the property line and the subject lands and the municipal road allowance, so concerns with those trees and what would happen with them. Also, a question about stormwater management pond and if that would be attracting wildlife and mosquitoes. Questions about potential fencing, and then also questions about existing services, internet, hydro, and natural gas, and hoping that no disruptions of any kind will occur more due to the proposal. So staff recommend that this application or the report be received for information, and also that staff provide a subsequent report evaluating the applications, taking into account all public and agency comments received, with a recommendation for council's consideration at a future meeting. Thank you.
Okay, as the second council, this will come back to us. Again, there's a process that we'll have to go through. Is the applicant present to speak? Okay. Yes, how are you?
Yes, hi. We're the applicants on the file. I'm the planning consultant, and I'm here I can speak to the proposal here for the subdivision.
And if you could increase your volume just a little, it'd be appreciated.
I'll do my best. Are you able to hear me now? Is the volume okay now?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. Awesome. Without further ado, I guess, Mayor Mayhew, council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of this application. My name is Zaid Kashif with K-Smart Associates, and we're the planning consultants for this project. I'd like to inform the council that the project manager, Ush Sandhu of Build Ontario, is also present and available to answer any questions as needed. Ms. Curtis has provided an overview of the application, agency comments, and staff recommendations. We're seeking a draft plan of subdivision to permit the proposed development on the subject lands. 35 lots and blocks are proposed through this application. 24 of those lots are intended for single detached houses. 3 blocks are set for 6 semi-detached dwellings fronting onto Mill Pond Street. And finally, 2 blocks with frontage on Longwoods Road will comprise 8 townhouse units. A stormwater management block is also proposed to host a stormwater management pond. And crossing through the middle of the property is an existing road allowance, and our draft plan has recognized its layout. It's shown as Dornick Street on the draft plan drawing. The initial engineering plans also were provided as part of the application package to demonstrate that drainage can adequately be addressed and that the property can be serviced. Following draft plan approval, the developer's consulting engineer will finalize the plans in accordance with municipal development standards. An open house was held for the neighborhood residents on the 24th of April, where a sizable turnout of around 20 people were present and provided comments and questions. A summary of resident comments was provided to municipal staff. Of particular note were the talks we had with Sylvain and Noella, the owners of 147 Ontario Street. This is the house that's surrounded by trees, and we're sorting out which trees may be on our client's property on the Dornick Street road allowance, and if any at all are on their property. Talks are continuing with Sylvain and Noella at this time, who we connected with earlier today, and I guess they're here, I believe, tonight to provide their comments as well and questions. As as this application continues through the process, we're asking council to support us in bringing new homes to Wardsville. The application proposes a variety of housing types and is in line with provincial and municipal planning policy. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before council, and we're happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. If there is other individuals that would like to address the council, this would be the appropriate time to do it. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this subdivision application? Okay, if there isn't, okay, we'll move on then. Council's remarks at this time. Yes, Martin, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. This is basically for Andrew. I don't believe there's a municipal drain in the area at the time, but it said some that they're working on one. So the ratepayers probably will want to know how will this be costed, because there's existing houses and then there's this development.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we don't have the assessment schedule right now. The majority of it would more than likely go to the development. But beyond that, I don't have the answers for you. The municipal drain is intended to be the outlet for that development. And the intent, the last time I had noticed, was that there was a stormwater pond meant for that development. And then it was going to go along the unopened road allowance toward the river to be outletted into the river. But as far as the breakdown, I don't have that.
Okay. Yeah, follow up, Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. So Andrew, we don't actually have a legal outlet in that area. Is that correct?
That's correct right now. There had been a petition that was signed by the road authority a few years back, and as well as the developer for that outlet to be installed.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments or questions from council? Yes, Councilor McGill, go ahead.
Yeah, I suppose nobody in Glencoe was informed about the subdivision, were they? They won't be aware of that?
Oh,
Because-
well, through, our agendas are public, other than that.
No, but the neighboring people were informed.
No.
But the reason I bring that up is because council, and I didn't agree with it, they agreed to, on a financial sense, combine the sewage systems of Wardsville and Glencoe. So the more development there is in Wardsville, the more the people of Glencoe are going to have to subsidize that. Because the Wardsville system is a lot more expensive system to operate than the Glencoe system. And there's lots of development, places for development in Glencoe. I think as long as we have that bad policy of combining those two systems from a financial point of view, even though they're completely separate systems from a technical point of view, I'm going to vote against all applications for building in Wardsville. And I think this is going to be an election issue. And once people become aware of what council has voted to do.
I think in terms of recouping some of that, the cost of water in Wardsville are very high, and that subsidizes that to some degree. And I think we'd have to have an analytical analysis done of that.
We already did.
Yeah.
That came to council, and you could see very clearly, if you combine the two systems from a financial point of view, then the cost to the people of Glencoe were going to go up. So I think at the end of the 10-year period, it was going to be about $100 for every, on average, for every lot per year in Glencoe.
Part of the amalgamation problem, when we amalgamated as a municipality, we knew that we had a low cost.
We had a choice.
Yeah, a
We made
low
the wrong
cost,
choice.
high maintenance thing, and the people of Wardsville pay taxes for our arena, and
They get
our
to
mold
use it
diamonds,
too.
yeah, they do. Anyway, Councilor Bain, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. just to counteract that, right now in Watersville system, I think it was only at 29% capacity, so I don't follow Councilor Neal's reasoning. If you have more users on there, that's going to help all the users on the system. So I think it's just the opposite, that it's better for the residents of Glencoe that we have more users on that system.
Well, that too, if that problem that exists ever is to be rectified, it will be easier to rectify with more users on that system. But we knew when we amalgamated with Warsville that it was a challenging enterprise on high maintenance. And in my conversations with law enforcement, they're quite regularly that it is a high cost maintenance. But yes, more assessment does help. There's no question about it. Yes.
I just like to remind you, Alan, that you're supposed to be chairing the meeting, and you've kind of gone beyond that. You've put a lot of your own input into it.
That could be okay. Point of order taken. Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
This is a question from Morrow. Do we have adequate infrastructure in place to support this development?
Yes, through you, Mayor. To council, we do have sufficient capacity in Wardsville for this development, and the more users that we can get into our system, paying for this system, will help subsidize it too.
Okay, a second for that. That's okay. Just before we do it, I'm just going to hold off on that, calling that. We have a mover and a second on that. And, Deputy Mayor, Councilor, just be patient for a second. We'll just clean up a few things, some housekeeping to do.
You're good. Do you want me to comment?
Any oral or written submissions? I'm going to advise that there are none, or there are some. Yeah, and
He's good.
yes.
His comments were already considered.
Okay, they are, right? All right. So we can move on then? Okay. Final remarks from the applicant, are there any?
Yes, if I may.
Go ahead.
Thank you. In my capacity, I'm a planner. I'm not an engineer, but I can attest that, in regards to capacity and the services required for the subdivision, that our engineers are working with municipal engineers to make sure that no development is proposed for which or no or the layout and the development that is proposed is such that there is capacity, and that there's capacity for it within the system, and that would be determined in coordination and lockstep with municipal engineers.
All right. The chair has a motion on the floor. We have gone through the public meeting process as mandated, and we will call the question. All in favor of the recommendations? All opposed? And noted. Okay, Kendra, where are we here? We got 7-2 put away?
Second part, 8.4.1.
Okay, 8.4, looks like there's a recommendation to buy some new wheels. Morrow, you take it away.
Thank you. Through the mayor to council, before his report recommending the purchase of a new tandem truck equipped with snow and ice removal equipment. 3 submissions were received, each meeting the required specifications for the tandem truck. The submissions also complied with the municipality's procurement policy or within the approved budget. Staff recommend awarding the purchase of the tandem truck to King Truck Centers, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you, council. The invitation has been extended to ask questions regarding the purchase of the tandem truck. And the estimates have been that we received, and the firm has been awarded the tender. Are there any questions? Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Schultz.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wondered what's happening with the old truck that we're replacing. What happens with it?
Typically, we put it on gov deals for the auction. Once we receive the new truck, and then we'll put the other one on the auction.
Thank you.
last call for questions. Seeing none, is there a mover and a seconder for this? Okay, Councillor Hagan. And Councillor Myers. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Morrow. That's a quick way to spend $500,000. Oh, yes, you have a question, Mike?
Well, yeah. Did we have to pay any extra for that truck because of any tariffs there might be? Like, and where is that truck made?
I'm not aware of that. I believe that we went through the procurement process for Canoe, which is a Canadian procurement company, and I know it's the team truck is out of London. Not sure where the truck is being built, and I'm not sure if it got affected by the tariffs. That's something I can certainly look into and in response to you on those weekly updates that the CA sends that to. I'm sure they were. I think the steel comes from within Canada, so I think they're built here, but I can confirm that for you.
Okay, thanks, Mark, for the question. Okay, Andrew, you're back on the stage again. Page 4.2. McTaggart Drain, section 78 has been requested.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The McTaggart branch drain was originally constructed in 1974. And in more recent years, the requesting landowner has contacted staff on different occasions that water tends to back up on his property from a catch basin across the road from him. As a result, staff had directed that the catch basins be cleaned out and that the culvert under the road be flushed and another long stretch of the drain be flushed to see if there's any obstructions, and there weren't. Further to that, the requester had contacted the staff with regards to concerns of road water. As a result, the Public Works Department had done some roadside ditching to at least alleviate some of the issues to prevent the road water from causing any concerns on private lands. With all of that said, it appears as though the drainage system is performing the way that it was intended originally, and it no longer meets the current needs of or the expectations of the landowner. As a result, the landowner has submitted a formal request under Section 78 of the Drainage Act to reconstruct the drain. At this point, I would recommend that council accept the request under Section 78 of the Drainage Act from the owner concession Gore Lot 14 for the reconstruction and improvement of the McTaggart branch drain, formerly of Agricultural Township. And I'm open for any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Andrew. In regard to the McTaggart branch drain, council, any questions you'd like to pose to Andrew through the chair? Seeing none, the recommendation is before you. Is there a mover and a seconder? Councillor Myers. Councillor McGill, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew, 843 is the tender award on the Google drain. Could you apprise council of that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Gould drain is the one that runs in front of the high school, just for reference. It runs along Concession Drive, Concession Road, and it then outlets behind the dog pound. The Gould drain requests for tenders were sent out on May 16th with a closing of June 6th of this year at 1 p.m. The bids are in front of us here. McNally excavating $290,900, Gilliard 338,412, and Van Bree Infrastructure 361,410. With the start and completion date being stipulated in the tender as to coincide with school being out. The engineer's estimate is $348,790. At this point, I would recommend that council accept the recommendation from Street Associate Engineers and Architects to award the project to the Gould Drain to McNally Excavating for the amount of $290,900. And I'm open for any questions if there are any.
Thank you, council. Any questions in relationship to the tender? Yes, Deputy Mayor Scholas, go ahead, please.
Will this help with drainage at the high school property?
Yes, the high school was given a fairly large assessment for this project in order to allow for a greater size drain. It is a larger drain than a standard agricultural drain, but because the high school doesn't have any kind of storm retention, it was upsized to try to come in between a storm drain and an agricultural drain. So it will improve drainage there. Should.
That's it, like this afternoon, so that's why I asked.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, Councilor Miguel.
Yeah, through the mayor to Andrew, what happens if anything, if the contractor doesn't start and finish when the contract stipulates? Like I've seen them sometimes come in a year later than what they said they were gonna come in to fix the drain.
The contract has procedures for that. I don't want to get into too much detail about that, but there are fairly serious repercussions for not showing up on time. And the reason I don't want to get into it is normally with contracts, the information is here, and anything beyond that may not be considered public knowledge. So I just don't want to go too far into it, but there's repercussions, definitely.
Okay. Any further questions? Recommendation is yes, go ahead, Don.
Yes, to Andrew, they're working on a drain now, are they not? McNally?
Yes, that is correct, yes.
Are they gonna have that one finished in time?
That's what they're being told that they will.
Just been a few problems there, I think. So,
Okay. Sounds good. The recommendation is before you. Should move her in secretary. Okay, Councilor Myers, second report. Councilor Bink, last call for questions. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Andrew, thank you very much for those reports. Okay. We are now into community services and facilities. 8.5. Direct your facilities management. Kevin, take it away.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Before you is a report on the update of the garden removal and downsizing to help streamline garden maintenance. As per council direction, the staff met with the Horticultural Society for recommendations on which gardens would best remove or minimize. And the recommendations are in the report, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. There's good pictorial information here. Kevin, thank you very much for providing that. Council, are there any questions you wish to ask Kevin? Through the chair? Yes, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
I just wondered if we, sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wondered if we received any comments from people in Wardsville around the Kennedy Street Cemetery.
As of right now, nothing.
Okay, I just wondered about the hedge, I know it should be okay.
Yeah, in the past, there has been recommendations to remove the hedge or put the fence up, so I don't think we'll get any backlash on that, because it'll clean it up.
Good, okay, thank you.
Yeah, Kevin, big job to do this. You plan on starting soon if this is adopted by council?
Yeah, if staff or if council goes on with this, we'll start as early as possible, and if it carries on, we can carry on in spring of 2026 to continue on with the project.
Yeah. Okay, good to know. Yes, Councilor Rebecca, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Kevin, Big Bend Cemetery, you're removing the bush, so does that mean you put a fence later on the border, or what are you planning on doing?
We haven't actually looked into that yet, but if council wishes, we could put a fence up there.
All right. Any further questions? Seeing no hands, Chair will ask for a rumor. Oh, is there a question that I missed, Mark? Did you got one? Okay, go ahead.
Through the mayor to, Kevin, sorry. There's no mention in this report about the concrete boxes. I think I've heard Councillor Myers call them the coffins. What's, like, some of them got cracked. Have some of them had to be done away with? Or are we still using all the ones we got?
We're still using all of them.
Yeah.
Any that had a crack in, the mortar was repaired and they're still in use, yeah.
Okay. Well, we haven't had a motion on this yet, have we?
No, we have not.
Could I just, when the motion gets, I guess I'll move the recommendation and add that as those concrete boxes, anything happens to them, we not replace them. And then gradually over time, we'll have less and less of them.
Yeah.
Because I think we ended up getting more than they were cheaper than what we thought they were gonna be, and somehow we ended up getting extras. And probably that shouldn't happen.
Mike, will you take the yellow first? I'm sure. Yeah. My issue with that is that, and I've seen it happen around this horseshoe before, that there seems to be a disregard for improvements in the business district. When you start losing a business district in terms of its curb appeal, you have an extremely serious problem on your hands. I see in the past that street signs for downtown Glencoe were discouraged by some on council, and you just stated take the boxes away as they deteriorate, and there has to be a formula for replacement. And I think it's exceptionally important that downtown revitalization stay not only in Glencoe, but in Melbourne and Wardsville too. And I think there's much work that can be done. If you are going to have a viable business district, it has to look appealing. And I have traveled throughout Ontario and have looked at hundreds of them and made special trips. And when you look at the most prosperous small rural communities, they have a vibrant infrastructure in their business districts. Flower baskets, flower planters, bicycle racks, good street signage, and it gives an ambience that people can actually conduct business in. So that's my concern with the conversation at hand. Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Haggett.
Well, I'm going to say I'm not in favor of those sort of things. And I'm going to say that when the past councils took out the interlocking brick and cut all the trees out, we were different from everybody, and now we're just hungry. So if somebody come in and design something that makes us outside the box of everybody else would be terrific. But I personally thought taking the interlocking brick out and cutting the trees down just made us like a regular town. And I don't think this nut box with a few flowers is what's going to draw people to our business area.
No.
So if somebody can come up with a vision to make it something special in our small little towns, okay. But I personally don't like the boxes, and I've never seen them gone.
As you know, there has been significant changes in administration and more vision we have today. And I think that we don't want to go back in that time period, but I think what has happened in the past will not happen again. Yeah, okay. Okay. Anyway, I do know that it costs a considerable amount, Kevin, to maintain some of these flower beds. We have limited staff, and I certainly appreciate the report that you submitted, and we'll let the horseshoe decide. Is there a mover and seconder to adopt the report?
I'll move it, as I suggested before, with that same stipulation that I'd like to add that as to concrete boxes, if any of them, break or need to be fixed, we just cut back on what we have.
And consider replacement of something at a different time, or not?
Well, that can be discussed at a later time.
Okay, is there a second for that? Okay, Councilor Myers, last call for questions. Yes, Councilor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. The only thing wrong with that amendment is that all of a sudden you can have two of these boxes removed. So you're gonna have a big space. Like, I think we should have a separate report on that. And forget about the boxes, just leave the report the way it is.
Yeah, I think, Martin, that is a good suggestion. Now, whether it should be entertained now or not is questionable. But I think that we have to look at our three downtowns. And at some time, I think there's enough talent on staff and within the horseshoe here that we can come up with a plan and a vision, and we'll certainly have to look at it at some point. If as they deteriorate, we may have to shuffle the dice around a little bit and balance it out as best we can. But I know that they are, when you take a piece of concrete and move it off every winter, you're going to get breakage. You know, I think probably it's inevitable that when we pick those up, even though our public works department are very careful in doing that, accidents happen and they can chip these. Okay, there's a mover and a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. The chair's going to call the question. It's had lots of conversation. All in favor of the recommendation? Passed. All opposed? Okay, passed unanimously, I think. Kevin, thank you very much for that. There's no fire report tonight, council, no building report. Planning, we're looked after. Notice of motion, Councilor Bink, would you like to introduce this to council, please?
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I think everybody received the email about the condition that was put in 1989 when I believe it was the Cartiers opened up the commercial building, or was in the planning of opening up the commercial building. And that condition still exists. There was no time limit on that condition. So in effect, it's still a legal entity as far as I'm concerned. And so this is why I brought the motion back. And I guess my idea is to add some sort of condition to the severance that was granted.
Okay, thank you, Martin. It is new information, and it's pertinent. That was a difficult decision by council. There was a lot of emotion attached to that. Following the meeting, the very next day, I called the forester of Middlesex County and told him to have a look at that. It was not in contact with Mark Brown, and he did look at it. There were two trees of what he calls importance. Those are the two Kentucky coffee trees that are planted on that property. And those are cherished Carolinian type trees. So it was hoped, and his suggestion was that it would be spaded, those two trees, and replanted somewhere because they're rather rare. And Kendra, will we need 2/3 majority to change that decision of council?
So the notice of motion is for a report to come back to the committee of adjustment because they made the original decision to amend or create an additional condition for the severance application. So no decision can be made exactly on the condition today because we're not in committee of adjustment at this time, but in the July meeting, Councilor Fink is requesting that a report come back. I think it's for a buffer of some sort, kind of options that council can consider that relate to that 1989 decision.
And again, in that July meeting, is a 2/3 majority required, or is it a different?
No, because it's an additional condition. You're not you're technically not changing the conditions. And it will not be, it's not a public meeting, the public meeting for this application has already passed.
Okay. It's unfortunate that wasn't known at the time. And in addition, I think in the future, when significant tree coverage is in an application, you know, it has to be considered as or at least inquiries have to be made into the environmental aspects of the decision making. All right, Councillor, I think as a notice of motion, is there any questions? Yes.
Yes, if I could ask one question though, Mayor Allen. What about, like the services only have so many days to appeal, and we're not gonna have another meeting till July. So what is the status of the service then in the meantime?
I'll let Kendra answer that. Go ahead, Kendra.
The appeal period for this has already passed. So the original conditions that council approved, that is passed. And the declaration of no appeals, because no appeals were received, was sent out. So this is an additional condition. It's kind of a new process. The additional condition can be appealed. The report that will be coming forward will explain all of this as well.
All right. Okay, yes.
Mayor Allen, I'm still concerned though, we accepted the application. So does that mean the owner can just remove the trees tomorrow, say? Well, I feel that things should be on hold until we have the next meeting.
Yeah, go ahead, Kendra.
We have no bylaw to enforce that at this time, private property trees.
Yeah, that's the problem. You know, there's ownership has rights, and it's difficult to take those rights away from someone that owns a particular property. That's constitutionally incorrect, and that's the problem. Has the property owner been commented about the concern? He's aware of these concerns? He has, okay. Has any feedback from him that he's going to take some into consideration?
I haven't spoken to him directly, but he was at the public meeting, so he heard all the concerns.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about that and reach out to him personally, perhaps, just as an inquiry. Yes, Councillor Hagan.
So for information, so one thing I'd like to know is this document, when the land went for sale, was the homeowner aware of it? Because obviously we couldn't do anything, why would we buy it? So that's just one thing.
Yeah, if that was registered, I think this is the problem. Like, is that condition registered in the title search and things like that? If there are conditions that are carved in stone, very often they're on title. And those law clerks that were doing the paperwork on that, it may not be registered, Councillor Hagan. That's what I'm concerned about.
And like, I mean, personally, I understand it, no disrespect, but I just don't agree with people telling other people what to do on their own property. That property's been for sale 2 or 3 times. Everyone's had the opportunity to buy it, to keep the trees on it. I mean, maybe if you would stake the 2 coffee trees, maybe. But I'd like to know if every person that purchased that property over the 2 or 3 times is up, if they were told that here's the document, you cannot touch that. Yeah. That's where my problem is.
No, it's not that we don't sympathize with people. It's just that you know, we're bound to follow. If bylaws don't exist, you know, we can't make them up. And if that's not on title, that creates problems for the vendor's understanding and the purchaser's understanding. So anyway, that being said, though, I think this we have to respect Councillor Link's notice of motion here. It's before you. Martin, you will move that yourself, I take it?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second for that? Councillor Emery? Okay. Any discussion? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Gill.
I don't really think I said anything about at the last meeting when we talked about this, but my thinking at the time was planners spent a lot of time looking at all the legislation, and she thought that it should be granted, and I thought, well, if we go against the planner, then the applicant could take it to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and then we would have to defend our position. And we couldn't use our planner because our planner thought it should be granted. So what we have to do, hire another planner to go and defend our position, and then he could say, you know, council didn't want those trees cut down, but then there's no law or anything saying the trees can't be cut down. So I was thinking this is just gonna be a waste of our staff and our taxpayers' money to turn this down. And it looked to me like the councilors were, maybe they're not aware of that, there's another step, but I would imagine some of the neighbors were probably not aware that these things can be appealed. So.
Kendra, the notice motion is primarily directed towards that 1989 document, correct? That it'll be, could you speak to that? I think we're wondering about the validity of that 1989 document, to know if it's registered. What's the scoop on this? Okay, Aaron?
Thank you very much, Mayor. Through you to council. You know, for better or for worse, conditions on severances are intended to be something that is satisfied, you know, one time, checked off the list. Once everything is completed, we issue a consent certificate saying they've done all the conditions that we've required of them, and it's done. The lot is created. Unless there is a legal vehicle that takes that requirement and registers it on title and some sort of development agreement, typically it's between the landowner and the municipality, saying that they promise to maintain this. There's usually a security component to it, or some sort of other you know, legal promise, and then that is something that we as staff are able to uphold in the future. In this case, the document, the list of conditions did speak to other agreements that were required to be registered on title, but there was nothing you know, specific to this condition. It does indicate that it is to be provided and maintained. The buffer strip is to be provided and maintained, absolutely, but there was no legal vehicle for us to say that it stands today. So the notice of motion does speak primarily to that list of conditions, and I will absolutely be able to bring back a report giving council options on different conditions that you could consider.
Okay. And the costs associated with those, okay, or the potential costs associated with those. Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
So I'm also not clear on what all this would mean. So I'd just like to ask Councillor Mink. So if this was approved, would that mean that the applicant could cut down that row of trees, build his house, and then he'd have to put in another row of trees as a buffer? Is that what you're getting at?
Well, yeah, I think that would be a compromise in this situation. But the original buffer zone, there was nothing indicating in there that there was a time limit to this. It says clearly that it was to be maintained. And so I disagree a little bit with what Aaron is saying. That property would not have been able to build that commercial property unless they maintained that buffer. And so to me, that's a legal entity. And I'm not saying that the owner was aware of that, but it's no different than if you buy, say, a restaurant here in town that has gas tanks on there, and you go and say later on, I didn't realize there were gas tanks there. Well, it's the owner's responsibility to know, and they should know that this was a separate property at one time, and it's they're responsible for the legal happenings what took place before. So, but I think, you know, at the end of the day, I'm for development too, and the neighbors have for development, they would have liked to see the severance moved over, and they still would have got their house, and that's still a possibility. But at the very least, in light of what's happened, there should be another buffer put on right on the border, at the very least.
Okay, we have to, we have to abide by the rules and regulations as dictated in the Planning Act, in vendor purchaser law, in the agreements of purchase and sale, and, quite frankly, I have no problem with the notice of motion, and the planner has indicated that she is pleased to bring that report back. So I would support Councillor Fink's notice of motion. But I know we'll certainly let the horse decide. Deputy Mayor Scholl, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Just to verify, we've done a thorough research at the Land Registry Office for this.
Through the mayor, I have, part of my regular due diligence is review of the property file. I don't hold title for every property that I bring forward to council for consideration for application. There's a cost associated with that for everyone. So I have not done a land registry.
I didn't expect it.
Okay.
But it wasn't normal procedure, but I just wondered if we could have people get an opinion on this. I think we need to do it.
I think you could ask Councillor Fink if you would amend the motion to include request for legal. Yeah, Kendrick, go ahead. Yeah. Kendrick, give us some guidance on this. If the motion or the discussion is not in agreement with our process, let us know.
I think that we can take that as direction with the report. But if you want to add it, because there is a cost associated with pulling title, we can do that.
Yes. Go ahead. Councillor Fink.
I can ask Mayor Allen, couldn't we have Aaron do the title search? Like, that'd be a minimal cost.
I think there's a process, whoever does the we're not gonna make up a way of how we, examine title. Aaron will have a process to examine title, and we'll let her make that decision, but, I have no problem with that. If the, deputy mayor is, requesting that council make amend that motion to include the opportunity to examine title, that would be fine, providing Councillor Emery agrees as well.
I would like to make that amendment. I think it's pretty important.
Okay. Councillor Fink, are you in favor of that amendment?
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Emery, are you in favor of that amendment? Then the motion is amended that a title search will be required. Aaron will look after us on that. Okay. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor McGill.
There's gonna be a new house in between that commercial property and the closest existing house. So I think that new house is enough of a buffer for the rest of the people of Pratt siding. And this notice of motion isn't gonna save that row of trees anyways. You know, if we pass this, I can still cut down the row of trees, put in another row of trees.
That option is available.
Or you can cut them down tomorrow. So
Exactly.
I think this is just wasting council's time and money, unfortunately. And I don't like seeing trees cut down either, but I don't like seeing bare farmland, like there's 300 acres of farmland a day lost in Ontario, to development. And you do this kind of infilling, you get less farmland lost. So that's a good thing from an environmental point of view, I think.
There's a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded, and we have to get back to point order that we are considering this notice of motion. Chair will call the question. All in favor of the notice of motion, raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? Motion is defeated. Okay. Correspondence and petitions, none. Unfinished business, none. Council, no new business, nothing out of the consent agenda. County council and conference updates, none. Any announcements, council? Anything going on in your wards? I think there's strawberry socials going on in Wardsville, is there not? Yeah.
That's Wednesday, Mayor, no?
Is it?
That's June the 25th. You're gonna be gone.
You know what? I haven't seen my sister for a year and a half, and that's the date I go and see them. I really hate to lose that. I'll send them a note, maybe, but yeah, I don't think it'd be very popular with my sister's Martin if I didn't show up. So, okay, but that's good. Yeah, hopefully it's well attended. Yes, Joel, go ahead.
Yeah, well, let's not forget Canada Day, right?
You bet.
Yeah. Lots of fireworks and lots of.
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, it's well planned. Is there any more meetings prior to that? There is one. Yeah, we have one. Yeah. But that's a hard working committee, and I tell you, we always like to see council and volunteers at the booth. Even if you pop in and just invite yourself to go away if you like or something like that. I think it's good. We'll make sure it's manned, but we can always use an extra pair of hands and eyes. And it's fun doing it. We're going to be there anyway, so we might as well give out a few things. And it is weather sensitive to some extent, so things can, plans can be changed on account of some severe weather or something like that. Okay, good point, Councilor Haggett. Anything else? We'll move on then. Closed session, there's none. Bylaws, let me go through this bit by bit. There's 4. A bylaw to provide for the drainage works known as Gardner Drain. Bylaw to provide the drainage works known as Gould Drain. A bylaw to provide drainage works known as the Stinson-McCollum Drain. And a bylaw to confirm proceedings of council on June 18th. Is there a mover and a seconder for those bylaws, please? Councilor McCollum, Councilor Link, questions? All in favor? Carried. Council, we have a meeting July 16th. Is a regular meeting of council. And Alana, Aaron, also August 13th, regular meeting of council. And we're at 19, adjournment. Mover and seconder to adjourn at 7:11. Thank you, Councilor Weimers. Deputy Mayor Council.